you able to change the slideshow? But I will turn it to you.
Good afternoon, students. So we welcome you to our third day of the Student Support Services Division Career Fair, Virtual Career Fair. We want to welcome each and every one of you with us today. Today we have a lot of service providers who are going to provide much needed information to you as students concerning careers that you can pursue as you leave school. So at this time, I am going to present and to hand over the stage to the School of Nursing, who is going to start their presentation at this time. All right, so at this time, I would like to call to make their presentation Ms. Jennifer Ross St. Paul. Ms. Jennifer Ross St. Paul, you're free to begin.
Thank you very much, Sophie. Good afternoon, students. I am from the School of Nursing, San Fernando, and I want to welcome you and to invite you to what we have to offer at the School of Nursing, Ministry of Education. And I have with me two of my students who are currently pursuing our basic nursing education program. I have with me Arlene Dudley Walker and student nurse Naomi Garrett, and they are going to present for you what nursing is all about. So I want to start off with Miss Arlene Dudley Walker, our student nurse who is currently in the program.
No. Anything bigger. Just press down. Come on, we don't have to press down. Good afternoon, all. My name is Arlene Dudley Walker. I am presently a student at the School of Nursing, pursuing the basic nursing education program. And today I have a little bit of information for you all that would help guide your career paths in the future, and hopefully you all will take up the profession of nursing as one of your choices for careers in the future. What is nursing? There are many definitions developed by various theorists. However, it is most basically defined as the care of others. Scope of nursing. Nursing is also, it is a science. It is known as an art. It is adaptive. It is client-centered. It is a helping profession. It is a discipline, and it promotes, maintains, and restores health. Aims of nursing. There are four broad aims of nursing practice. 1, to promote health and wellness. 2, to prevent illness. And 3, to restore and maintain health. 4, to facilitate coping. Whether it be with illness, with somebody that may be dying, with a loved one who is uncertain of what's happening to them, nursing helps with all of that. Roles and functions of nurses. The roles of the nurse are dependent on the needs of the client and the environment. Some examples include caregiver and communicator, teacher and client, advocate, counselor and change agent, leader and manager, and a researcher. Those are just some of the functions of nurses. There are many more. Recipients of nursing care. Who can receive nursing care? These can be individuals at any stage of the life cycle regardless of their status in society. They can be the ordinary, the fisherman, to the doctor, to the lawyer, to the student, right? When you see the nursing personnel would see the client as the families, then they would see the communities behind that person and eventually see the society. Who can be a nurse? Any male or female, 17 years and over, who has completed a program of basic nursing education at an approved school or college of nursing and is authorized by the appropriate regulatory body to practice nursing in his or her own country. The basic nursing education program. Fundamental program is 6 months. What you do in the fundamental program are topics like anatomy and physiology, psychology, sociology, health and promotion, wellness, microbiology, emergency care. Other courses are added as the program progresses. What are the academic qualifications for entry requirement? For all schools or colleges of nursing, the requirements start off with 5 O-level subjects, inclusive of English language, mathematics, or accounts, and a science subject. Assessments. These are carried out continuously in the classroom and by the Nursing Council of Trinidad and Tobago. After the first 6 months, fundamental examinations. After 12 to 14 months, you have the preliminary, practical, and written examinations. At the end of 3 years, you have your final practical and written examination. I will now pass you on to my colleague, who is nursing student Naomi Garrett, and she will guide you all further.
Hi, good day, everyone. My name, as Ms. Walker said, is Naomi Garrett, and I will be giving you all the assessments. These are carried out continuously in the classroom by the Nursing Council of Trinidad and Tobago. After the first 6 months, you have the fundamental exam, as she said previously. After 12 to 14 months, you have the preliminary, practical, and written examinations. And at the end of the 3 years, you have the final practical and written examinations. Okay? And next, we have the essential qualities of a nurse. As you know, a nurse should be trustworthy. If you can't trust a nurse, you know, things bad, right? And you have to be honest and dependable. So if you say you're going to reach, you have to reach the work for 7 o'clock, you're going to be there for 7. Willing and enjoy working with and serving people. You have to love what you do and do what you love, you know? Respectful. Always be respectful. Willing to learn new concepts. You can't have your way and your way is the only way. You have to be open to new ideas. You have to be calm and tactful under pressure. When things get all away, you can't be like, ooh, you know, you have to be centered and calm, knowledgeable and detail-oriented. You always have to be precise about everything that you do, and a good communicator. Other nursing programs is the psychiatric nursing program, direct entry midwifery program. These are not done at the School of Nursing in San Fernando, but at the School of Psychiatric Nursing is in town, Port of Spain, sorry, is in Port of Spain. Post-basic nursing programs. The licensed midwifery program, the trauma nursing program, the pediatric or neonatal nursing program, the renal nursing program, the intensive care nursing program, and the operating theater nursing program. This is done after you finish, you have completed your 3 years, you can go further into these programs. The career ladder for nursing in Trinidad. The education or administration or public health or other disciplines in nursing. The nursing assistant training, the general nursing education, where you will receive a diploma, associate degree, or a BSc. The post-basic nursing certificate, you get a diploma or BSc or master's. And then you have the doctoral studies, where you can pursue trauma, pediatrics, midwifery, renal, critical care, or neonatal. Or there's even more that you can do. You know, there's always higher you can go. And I would just like to thank you all very much for listening to what we have to present for you today. And I plan to join the nursing profession will be the beginning of an adventurous journey for everyone. Here's how you can know more about the nursing program. You can contact the Nursing Education Unit at the Ministry of Education's website, and the email address is the Nursing Education Unit at gmail.com. Or you can also go to Facebook on Nursing Education Unit, the Ministry of Education. The telephone number is 622-2281. I repeat, it's 622-2281. And the extension is 2000 or 2001. Thank you very much. Any questions?
Hi, Miss. Thank you very much for your presentation on nursing. I know that it was said at the beginning that both of you are nursing students. So I wanted to find out from you, or perhaps your lecturer, can you share with the students what has been your most memorable experience as a nurse or as a nursing student thus far? Miss? I think we will be having connectivity issues with the School of Nursing. So at this time, we will take a temporary break in our programming, and we will resume as soon as the School of Nursing is able to reconnect. Thank you, students. So you can hold on a couple minutes, students.
Sophie? Sophie?
Hi, good day, Miss.
We want to apologize for that disconnection.
Not a problem. These things happen. These things happen. But we're
And
glad that
thanks for understanding. So the question was directed to the student.
yes, we wanted them to share what would have been their most memorable experience as a nursing student thus far.
Okay, thus far we've been in the program 5 weeks. This is our 6th week, and on the very first day of class, we were taught about becoming and being a professional. So the points of it starting in the classroom before we carry it out into the workplaces stuck with us, where the importance of us being even in proper uniform was emphasized, and as it was explained to us why we should start in our classroom. So thus far for me, that was one of my most memorable moments, because it emphasized the point of professionalism starts in the classroom. And you have to start in the classroom at that level before you take it out into the public domain.
Thank you very much. Perhaps we can also hear from your classmates. She can also share with us what has been her most memorable experience thus far as a nursing student.
Hi. For me, it was, we have to be specific. That was most, for me, that stuck with me, because I wouldn't say I am a very specific person. I would beat around the bush, as we just say. So being specific, that stuck with me. I learned that in professional nursing. You have to be very specific about everything. Any other questions?
Yes, we do. I was wondering if you had to give advice to a Form 5 student who's considering the nursing profession, what advice would each of you give to them?
I would say, people would say study hard. I would say be dedicated. If you are dedicated, you'll be very successful in anything, not only in nursing, but be a dedicated nurse. We love that.
My advice to students would be when choosing a career or picking a career in the future, one of the first things you have to pay attention to is the need for the type of career in society that you're going to choose. And in nursing, there's always a need for nurses in Trinidad and Tobago, in the region, as well as in the world. So there will always be a need to have a nurse present because a nurse more or less is essentially the backbone of the healthcare system.
Okay, thank you very much. Now, this particular Zoom and the stream is catered towards our Form 5 students. So I wanted to find out what was that point when you decided that you want to become a nurse, and at what point in your life, like at what age, and what was it that made you enter the nursing profession?
For me, I've always liked helping people and helping others. And genuine love for others. Hello?
Hi, yes, we're hearing you. You can go ahead.
Genuine love for others and by extension our society would make the nursing program an easy one for you to enter. Because you tend to put yourself and picture yourself in a patient's position when you choose a career path like this. And you would disseminate the type of treatment you want to be done unto yourself, onto your patients, when you're doing it from the standpoint of love.
I would say for me it was when probably same Form 5. I always know I wanted to help people. Helping people brings me great joy,
What happened? We have a spare.
Sorry, you can go ahead. Sorry for that technological problem.
So when I saw the ad, I was like, I could see myself as a nurse. It's not something that you'll be doing. You won't be doing the same thing every day because I get bored easily. And this would help me expand also my learning because you're never ending in the learning process. There's always research, there's always theories to prove, and it's very adaptive. It's very adaptive. You can it's very mind blowing because you can't, people, I want to study the money, you can, there are steps you can do to go up. So there is also, you can make money, you know, and you meet all different types of people every day. That's what, that's what I liked about it. That's why I chose.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you so much. Can I perhaps speak a little bit to your lecturer? I know that in the presentation it was mentioned that it's possible to enter the doctoral field or to study to be a nurse and to study the doctoral studies. Can you tell us a little bit about that, please?
Well, that's where we differ here in Trinidad and Tobago. The doctoral studies are not done here. We don't have any schools doing it, not even at UE. You can try accessing your doctoral studies, either online with foreign schools. But what we want to let you know is that in the career ladder, this is, the highest field that you get to as a nurse. You can also pursue PhDs, which are usually done, you know, at foreign schools. But you can get there as a nurse.
Okay, thank you very much. I was also wondering, in terms of the School of Nursing and a student who might be listening into the program is interested in getting into nursing, how do they apply for entry to the School of Nursing?
Well, you can apply once. You must, if you really want to be a nurse, you always be on the website at the Ministry of Education. And when advertisement is out, it will always be there. And that's the time you apply to be a nurse with the Ministry of Education School of Nursing. Only when advertisements come out at the ministry's website.
Okay, Ms. And can you tell us how often that the School of Nursing accepts new students?
And that we can't, you know, specifically tell you, well, you know, like it's every year or every 2 years. Usually we wait until the Ministry of Education indicate to us when we can start a new program. So we did start a new program in January. For us to know when we are having a new program, the Ministry of Education will indicate same to us. And as soon as we know that, we disseminate this information to the public. So we can't specifically tell you, well, next 2 years or next year or next 6 months. We must get word from Ministry of Education.
Okay, I understand. I'm not sure, maybe one of my colleagues would like to ask some questions from the School of Nursing. I will now give that opportunity to one of my colleagues. Okay, so I'm unsure if they have any questions. What I can do, I would like to check to see if we have students who are asking questions. So just give me 1 minute to find out if we have students who are asking questions.
Okay.
Okay, Ms. McIntosh, I just came on because I was liaising with another provider, so I wasn't sure of the presentation, but I am looking at the chat and I'm not seeing any questions at the moment.
Thank you very much, Ms. James.
Okay.
Miss, perhaps you can share with us from your experience then. You would have probably have had so many years in the nursing profession. Tell us a little bit about your experience, about your entry into nursing, and what kind of experience you have had over the years. I'm sure the students would like to know.
Well, my entry to nursing came at my current students' level as well, at the basic nursing education program so many years ago. If I were to tell you how many years, of course, I would, you know, reveal my age. So I don't want to go there. And in my program, we're quite dedicated students. We breathe, we sleep, we eat nursing. We had to be alert in classroom, and we had to be very much alert out into the clinical area. And what is most telling for us is that we were 6 weeks into the classroom, and then we had to go immediately out into the clinical area to practice nursing. And that was for us then, that is what built our competencies as a nurse. However, I must tell you that as soon as I sat down in my classroom to do my nursing program, I knew I wanted to be a nurse educator. So it was from since then, many years ago, that I knew I wanted to be a nursing educator. I focused on that. I did what I had to do in the clinical area in my classroom, passed all my exams on the first go, practiced as a nurse for many years to get my experiences and competencies. I engaged in higher learning, and here I am as a nursing educator, loving my career, having been able to bring people to good health, promote their health, show them how to be well, give them advice, teach them, educate them, counselor for some families as well, members of the community. And with all this vast experience, I can now hand it down to my students who come into our school.
Ms. McIntosh, may I ask Nurse a question, please? I just want to find out something from you. In your years as experience, and even while training, so like sometimes when I'm doing my sessions, I will tell the students, you have to be realistic. It can't be at the sight of blood, you're squirming, and you want to be a nurse or a doctor. Has anyone fainted during your practical sessions when that was happening?
Yes, I would have had, we had a member of class, one of my batchmates, we couldn't experience the sight of blood. And we did have some batchmates as well who couldn't even see a wound.
Okay.
So they would squirm up and try to, they would become very discriminatory, want to scorn the patients. However, once that happens, the staff nurses, the senior staff nurses will pull you aside and give you advice as to how you practice malaria. So very not to discriminate.
Okay, so were they able?
Everybody.
Okay, so were they able to finish their nursing degree, whatever they call it?
Yes, they were able to finish because remember, we are out there every day, most times, yes, and you learn to deal with these situations out there.
But has anyone ever joined, and after that experience they say, you know what, this is not for me, I finish, or they continued?
Yes, we need to be realistic. Some students came in, and after a month in the clinical area, they have decided this is not for me. I will divert my career path somewhere else. But it's in the minority, really.
Okay, great. All right, so I don't know if my other colleagues have any other questions.
Miss, earlier on you indicated that it was very early in your training as a nurse that you decided you wanted to become a nursing educator. I wanted to find out what was it that really made you decide to go into the education aspect of nursing.
Repeat your question, please.
Earlier on, when you were sharing with us your journey as a nurse, you indicated that very early in your training, you decided to become an educator. I wanted to know what caused you to decide to become an educator versus remaining in the practical, hands-on aspect of the profession.
Because one, my love for nursing, and because I patterned myself, I saw my educators who were teaching me as my role model, and I wanted to be like them. The way how they were articulate, the way how they were knowledgeable, the way how they taught me in the clinical area, and I wanted to integrate these knowledge and this competency in myself so that me too can impart it on others as well. My teachers were my role model.
And I think for young persons, it's so important that they have both personally and professionally role models that they can follow. And so students, we want to encourage you, if you're interested in becoming a nurse, if you know anyone who's in the nursing profession, just as Miss Sinford indicated, and she had those nurses that were her role models and mentors, having that kind of role model and mentor will become very instrumental for you to becoming successful in the profession. Okay, let me probably ask one more question to the students.
Sure.
Students, earlier on in the presentation, we noted that there were certain specialties or specializations that you could enter. Have you all decided which field that you would like to specialize in, and can you tell us why?
Okay, for me, for example, I already decided that I have a special liking for obstetrics and gynecology. So I would want to enter the midwifery field after this field, as well as the community type nursing, to be out there in the health centers, more educating patients when they come to clinicals, being part of the immunization drive, stuff like that.
And your other classmates, have you also decided your specialization? And can you tell us why?
Well, I want to be a district nurse because I feel being able to reach students while they're still at a young age could shape them into becoming a nurse or even whatever they want to be. But I want to be there for them during that process so them could see what a nurse is. So they could be like me, you know. As a kids growing up, they want to be like people, and I want to be that shining light in the community for the students to be able to see me as a leader. That's why I wanted to become a nurse. Because, you know, growing up, when the nurse come in school to give you the injection, you know, I always wanted to do that. That's what I like about it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, ladies.
Okay.
This time, I would allow your lecturer to leave with us with any final thoughts that you would like to leave with our aspiring nurses to share with them as you end your presentation.
Thank you, Miss Sophie. It's just that students of Form 4 and 5, you know, now you have a great opportunity as via this career fair to be able to choose, to have options. And one of your options is nursing. And it's a really excellent career. It's an expansive career, and it's a career where you can get great satisfaction from. It is also a career where you are able to not only develop families and societies, but you are able to develop yourselves, not only academically, but physiologically as well. You are able to know how to treat with yourselves, how to treat with having a healthy body, a healthy mind, so that you are able to impart all this knowledge, not only into your family, but into your communities and your societies as well. So choose nursing as your career, and the sky is the limit for you all.
Thank you very much, Miss. And I want to say thank you as well to your students for being with us during this time. All right, so thank you so much for the information you have shared. Students, you have heard from the School of Nursing. They have shared with you what nursing is about, what things you need to keep in mind as you consider a profession in nursing. At this time, we are going to have a few minutes break as we transition from this presentation to the presentation that will be done by the Ministry of Labor. So students, you can hold on a couple of minutes as the Ministry of Labor now takes the stage to have their presentation for you to learn and to grow about the Ministry of Labor. Thank you again, School of Nursing.
Thank you very much, Sophie.
Good afternoon, students. So we are beginning once again to have our presentation on the Ministry of Education Student Support Services Division Career Fair. At this time, we have representatives from the Ministry of Labor who will be sharing a little bit with you about the role that the Ministry of Labor plays in your career. So can you sit back, listen? You are feel free to please post your questions on the YouTube channel chat, and we'll be free and we'll be willing to make sure that the representatives from the Ministry of Labor answers your questions. At this time, I now turn over the platform to Mrs. Sharon Gabriel Charles, who will engage you students in their presentation. Mrs. Charles?
Hi, good afternoon, and it's a pleasure to be here. I am accompanied by Mrs. Asha Jagannath, who would be introducing the National Employment Service.
Good afternoon, students and all participants on this segment. As my colleague has just introduced me, again, my name is Asha Jagannath. We are both part of the Ministry of Labor, in particular the Manpower Unit, where we are part of the National Employment Service. We are pleased to participate in Victoria Education District Virtual Career Fair today. And we hope that you will find it very interesting and informative as you chart your future ahead of you. So we just have two items for housekeeping that you pay attention to the discussion. Use your icon to raise your hand if you have to ask a question, but I will prefer that questions be put at the end of our presentation, where we will be happy to answer all to the best of our ability. The National Employment Service, a bit of background before we get into the items for today. It is a public sector funded employment agency. That being said, it means that we operate like a private recruitment agency, except that, and this is a big exception, it is at no cost to any persons who are accessing our services. What we do is job placement, persons who are seeking employment, like you, when you have completed your education at secondary school, you're going out into the world of work, you will be seeking employment. You do correct counseling, you're not sure what you want to do, and moving your career forward, we can advise you, sit with you, listen to what you have to say, and we advise you forward. Employee assessment, we do assessment of the type of positions that you may be engaged in and what you want to move forward into again. E-recruiting, referrals, work permit investigations. Work permit investigations, just to clarify on that one, Ministry of Labor is part of a work permit advisory committee, where persons who are seeking, companies in fact, seeking to bring in foreigners into Trinidad and Tobago for employment. The Ministry of Labor reviews application to determine the labor market needs, whether it is justifiable bringing in a foreigner, not to the detriment of our local citizens. So as our stakeholders are the citizens, the wider public, specifically also to students, and we service the private sector and the public sector. So today's focus, we are covering the two main areas where we've been invited to, as well as based on two areas where most persons have placed a lot of importance on, is how to do a cover letter and resume, and how to prepare for the interview. The cover letter and the resume will be presented by my colleague, Mrs. Sharon Gabriel Charles, and the interview I will be presenting to you, Asha Jagannath. So I invite my colleague to participate in this segment.
Hi, good afternoon. And we want to let you know that we are aware that some of you would want to continue your education after Form 5. For those who would want to apply for a job, this segment is to give you that information that will take you there. For everything, there is an application process. So applying for a job would require you to have an application form accompanied with your resume. So for this segment, your application form would be your cover letter. So what exactly is a cover letter? Typically, a cover letter introduces your resume. It is your first form of letting the employer know what jobs you are looking for, how you heard about it, and it should highlight your relevant skills, talents, and experience. It is your opportunity to introduce yourself to a potential employer. So let's dive in a bit into this cover letter. So we want to look at a sample cover letter in the interest of time. So we have a letter, Mr. John Doe, his address. On top as a header, he is sending a letter to a company for a position of administrative assistant. He has addressed it to the human resource manager, and he's stating there, Mr. Thomas, who is the HR manager at this time. We want to introduce you to the fact that we no longer send letters to whom it may concern, nor do we say dear sir or madam. We would like to encourage you to either find out who is the recruiting person so you can address the letter specifically to that person. If that information is not available, it's okay to address the person by their title. In this case, we could have said their human resource manager. Within the first paragraph of your letter, it's important that you state why you are writing, how you heard about this position. In this particular case, Mr. Doe is stating that he saw it in the newspaper and he's responding to the specific position and he's asking that it be accepted as his application. Within the body of the cover letter, he is identifying his skill sets, his competencies, his training, his experience for this particular job. With the last paragraph, he is thanking the reader. He's asking for an opportunity for an interview and reiterating how he can be contacted. And most importantly, the cover letter should be signed. You must have also a complimentary clause. You can use yours respectfully, sincerely. Those are some of the types that you can use. All right, we want to look at a resume. So with the resume is your primary marketing tool. Is what an employer sees before they see you. It's your advertisement board, your selling piece. It should summarize your experience and not a very lengthy document. So we want to ensure that the resume is inviting to read with clear sections and margin. There's a paper size that is important, 8.5 by 11. Please make sure there's no spelling errors. Everything is organized in a professional way because I remind you again, it is your selling piece. It is what the employer is going to see before they see you, and they are considering you for a particular position, right? It should not be longer than a page. If it goes to 2 pages, ensure that there is information, either header or footer, as to whose resume it is. So Mr. John Doe will have his name, contact, and page number on the 2nd page. So what are we putting in this resume document? We must have bio information, our name, address, contact, and email address. We can have an objective, basically what we hope to accomplish given the opportunity for work. Information on our educational background, schools we attended, years, certificate we have obtained. When you're doing this information, you're starting from secondary onwards, no primary or preschool. Work experience, you would list next. With work experience, you want to list the company you worked with, the period of time, what was the job title, and a couple points in terms of what duties you perform. This will allow the employer to assess where your work skill fall under, what you would have been exposed to. It's important that you also add in skills and other information. Perhaps you are the captain of the debating club, you're the captain of the football team. Any involvement in school that give you a sense of responsibility and leadership is very good to mark it on your resume. Lastly, you should have references. With your references, you're naming the person's name, their occupation, place of work, and contact information. More and more, we see that employers are contacting your references. They're checking where you may have worked before. And it's important that you have a professional image at all times. We mentioned earlier your email address. We want to ask that you have a professional email address. You simply name at one of the, be it Yahoo or email, would work. We want to show you now a sample resume. Right, so we have Mr. John Doe again, his address. We want to do like a profile on him. Now, we mentioned earlier about an objective statement as to what you are hoping to accomplish. More and more, resumes are asking for a profile statement, meaning you're giving the employer a snip of what you can deliver at his place of work. So the person is saying they're self-motivated, they're talking about their accomplishment at secondary, and they mention a bit about their skills, interpersonal skills, and so on. Next, we have on this resume document their work experience, the name of the company, the period of time, some of the duties that this person is performing.
Ms. McIntosh, are you seeing the resume sample?
I'm seeing the resume checklist section. I'm not seeing the sample per se. You may have to stop this particular share and start over.
Oh,
okay, no problem.
Okay.
All right, so we'll continue with the resume information and we'll get to the sample. All right, so thank you. Right, so we're now going to show you the sample. Let me take it from the screen.
It's not sharing.
Okay, so we are unable to show you the resume sample, but we want to encourage you, those who are 17 and over, having completed your CXC and you got your results, you can visit the Ministry of Labor where you can register for employment, so we can assist you in connecting with an employer for that reason. Okay, so we want to also remind you in terms of your bio information that you're sharing to a potential employer. Employers are checking into your background. So it's important that you have a clean profile. They are checking what you do on social media. They are checking your references. So if it is that you are seeking a job, it is important that you remain professional at all times, right? So we have looked at cover letter, what it is. It goes with the resume. It identifies who it's sending it to. It identifies what position you want. The resume now has reached a particular employer. Some of the places you would look for employment would be via newspaper, company website, You can talk to persons employed in the field so that you can have your resume going out there and meeting the needs of a potential employer, right? So I want to reintroduce Ms. Jagannath, who would share about your interview preparation. So you have applied. So you have applied for your job. In terms of looking at websites, we are sharing some websites that you can look at. Just go up, right? For jobs, in addition to the Ministry of Labor website, National Employment Service, these are some websites that you can visit for employment. And so you have sent out your application, you got a call for an interview. How do we prepare for that? Ms. Jagannath?
Okay, good afternoon again. Ms. McIntosh, are you seeing our PowerPoint?
No, I was now about to ask you about that. It's blank. I can press share screen again and maybe it might come up. Okay, it's now. Yes, now perfect. Perfect. Okay. Yes.
Great. Okay. So, students, you've sent out your resume, your cover letter, your resume. That is your entire application. Don't forget that your cover letter and your resume is your entire application. So you've sent out your application to the employer, and you either receive a telephone call or you got an email inviting you to an interview. Clearly, the recruiter or the manager of the company you apply to, they are interested in what you have presented in your resume, and they are interested in having an interview. So let's go into what is an interview. An interview is a two-way conversation in which you and the employer exchange information. It can be conducted in person, which is you and the employer sitting face to face, or virtually, as we are conducting this segment with you right now. Since it is a two-way conversation, there is your objective, you being the interviewee, there's your objective, and you also have a goal. Your objective is certainly to get the job. Your goals in order to get this job, to demonstrate your interest in the company, present the attributes that will best fit the workplace, that being you have researched the culture of the organization, to learn more about the position and the organization, and to determine whether the position you've applied for, you'll be interviewed for, is suited for you and your career goal. The employer's objective and goal are as follows. The employer is defining the best fit for the job, so you will not be the only person being interviewed. It's by a process of elimination to find the best fit for the job. The employer's goal, therefore, is to find out what you have to offer. Remember, your resume is limited by only so much information that you can present. So the interview gives the interviewer and yourself an opportunity to get more details. So the employer will want to know more about your knowledge, skills, and ability, who you are, to determine your personality, character, and interests, why you should be hired, whether you have what they are looking for, and whether you'll be an asset to the organization. So in a nutshell, the employer, in trying to find the best fit for the job, is doing an assessment for all candidates being interviewed. So we have the face-to-face interview, which is the in-person interview which I've introduced a short while ago. We are dealing with today the in-person interview and the virtual interview. So the in-person interview or the face-to-face interview is the most popular one that we know. Prior to COVID, this was the predominant type of interview that is happening throughout Trinidad and Tobago. So where the there are certain advantages and disadvantages of the in-person interview at this point in time where we are experiencing challenges and we are conforming to the COVID-19 safety guidelines or regulations. So the face-to-face interview happens in one space, location determined by the employer. Of course, it may not be at the employer or the business location, but a suitable location that the employer, the recruiter deemed fit for the interview. The virtual interview, this is an interview that takes place remotely, like we are doing right now, at most times to the comfort of your home using a virtual media platform. So we are familiar with Skype, Zoom, WebEx, Microsoft Teams. Those are the most popular one right now. So you're familiar with the virtual dialogue that you have been using since school has come into a different setting with the COVID-19 guidelines. So due to the COVID and the mandate is to distance and work remotely, the same thing happened with your school environment. The school setting is a remote location. The interview is going to be at a remote setting as well. So as it says, it is catching on and becoming the most relevant. And who knows, even when the COVID, and I say when the COVID has been under control, virtual interview might very well continue. Interviews can be a very nerve-wracking, most daunting time that you will experience. Some people have never become accustomed to it. Some persons have even expressed that it can be labeled as an interrogation exercise where you and the person sitting opposite one another, or can be a panel of interviewers sitting and you alone on the other side of the table being interviewed. So we can understand why it can be labeled as an interrogation exercise. What can make things really go wrong during an interview is when you cannot move away from that negative labeling. If you allow your emotions, and at most times persons find it difficult to manage their emotion or keep it under control, and they're prepared so well before the interview. At the time of interview, their emotions take the better part of them, and the interview is not as how it was planned to happen. So we like to say that you throw the interview or you vex yourself. It's just like you prepared for an exam and you're so nervous on the day of the exam that you go blank. It happens to a lot of us. So your emotions, your negative emotions, your fright, your fear, your sweating palms, sweating arms, all of that, it is normal. But you must ensure that your stress level is at minimum. You are able to control all your fears, everything that can be an obstacle to your interview on that particular day. So getting into the preparation. I don't know if any persons in this forum have ever heard the phrase, if you fail to prepare, prepare to fail. So preparation, in anything in life, preparation is key, especially at this stage where you are preparing for exams. Preparation is key. So at the top of the slide, we have research the company thoroughly. So you go into the company's website, you look at all the tabs and the keys there are to share information about the company. You might see a tab where it says about, another tab where it's history. Those are good buttons that you can select to find out more about the company. You can even pay a visit to the company and observe the culture of how people dress, pay attention to how people speak, read their brochures. The advertisement and your where you got knowledge of the job that you apply for. You analyze the job description, you get a highlighter, and you highlight key areas in it where you have the skills and experience, and you hone into that in your preparation. You evaluate your interest in your career field, and you make your preparation to the point where you can verbalize your responses to the interviewer, not to show that the interviewer that you prepared this question in advance and you cram it out and it's coming out like that, but you're very normal about it. Prepare for predictable questions, that is. You dress appropriately, and that is where you will get your cue from. If you had done a visit to the company and observe how people dress for work, and you practice a posture. Remember, even though your interview might not be in person, there are some criteria that still applies. How you dress and your posture. I like to call it your power posture. You put a chair in front of the mirror and you look at yourself to get an idea of what your interviewer, or the image that you are presenting to your interviewer. You conduct a mock interview. So we go straight into the slides. I don't want to take too much time into going to my slides. We have a picture up. We normally prescribe a head to toe checklist where we start from, look at your hair, simple and conservative. Keep in mind, if you're sending out resumes and you're buying for jobs, you don't want to put hair colors or haircuts that may not come across professional, and you cannot fix it if your interview is the next day. So be mindful of that. Your jewelry, be mindful that it is not ostentatious, means it is dazzling and will be distracting to the interviewer. Your suit, remember, even though you will be doing a virtual interview, must dress appropriately, just as well you're doing a face-to-face. So fitted top to bottom, your jackets and your pants, the professional colors are navy blue, black, or gray. The dress shirts, crisp iron, buttoned up, solid colors. We do not want you to look at this as a way of going along as if it is not your real interview, an interview where you can wear anything. Be mindful of, for women, your cleavage, how low the cut in your cleavage is. Remember, anything that will distract interviewers, you do your checklist and make sure you get it right. Virtual, you may not have a purse, but if you're having a face-to-face, remember, you cannot have no big bags. A lot of us walk around with very big bags. If it is a face-to-face, no. So you have subtle, small, and professionally looking bag. Hygiene, make sure that if it is an in-person, you follow the bullet points that I have up in the screen with your hygiene. If it is virtual, well, your hair, at least your hair must be tidy. Your screen and must show who you are as clear as possible. And if once again, your footwear for in-person must be professional as well. So I mentioned earlier the posture. This is what I refer to as your power posture, where you see the picture on your screen. The head, the eyesight is in line with a camera, and in person, it also shows that you are attentive to the interviewer. Your back is against the backrest of your chair. You feel the backrest against your back so that you know your posture is not a slouching one. Your hand is in a position where you are not fidgeting, and you have control in case that you are deciding to talk a lot with your hand, which sometimes we lose control. So practice, practice, practice. Many interviews, questions, they are predictable, and it can be anticipated in preparation for the interview. You can the interview questions. You get a rich list from the internet. You just Google common interview questions, and the answers will also be there, and you practice. Practice speaking out aloud in front of a mirror. You tape yourself. You choose a friend or family or relative who can give you effective or good, very good criticism, so that you can know how you can improve or areas that you can improve. You predict specific questions from analyzing the job description, the responsibilities, and the skills. As I said earlier, with your highlighter, you highlight key areas. Those key areas, the responsibilities, skills, and position, and you take out all those responsibilities that you see is important on the job, and you prepare your questions. And you role play to become aware of your non-verbal communication, which is your posture, your eye contact, and your voice quality. Now, regarding your voice, and just make sure that when you are speaking, it's not just how loud you're speaking, how clearly, because it's not a shouting match. It's going to be clear, but be mindful that in times where you meet a question that is put to you and you become less confident in how you are answering it, you might lose your composure and bring out what we like to call green verbs, where you be yourself. Remember, an interview is one where you are called to act. It's like you're on stage to act, the curtains rise, and you do your best as you possibly can. When the curtains fall, that is at the end of the interview, that's when you become yourself. During the interview, so first impression count. Be on time, whether it is in person or virtual. There's a time that the interview will start. We have a 20 minutes day. Be polite and professional to anyone in the virtual room as well as in person. Make sure that there's your cell phone in your headphones, etc. It's off your person if it's in a one-on-one interview. Upon entering the room, you introduce yourself and you wait to be ushered to your position. Answer clearly, keep eye contact with the interviewer. Keeping eye contact does not mean that there is a staring competition, but it presents to the employer or the recruiter that you have confidence in your preparation. Avoid fidgeting and playing with instruments. You might have a paper or a pen. That's what the instruments we are talking about. Offer up information and do not make the interviewer constantly repeat the questions during the interview. So that is why we ask that you listen attentively. You show enthusiasm and be honest in your responses, and make sure and prepare to ask questions at the end of the interview. So as we were saying a short while ago, voice demonstrates confidence. Your vocabulary reveals your communication skills and your ability to interact. You answer clearly, keeping eye contact with the interviewer. You offer up information and do not make the interviewer constantly repeat him or herself. For the virtual interview, you mentioned before the time, your software, make sure that it is working properly. You test the technology that you're using. You wear your professional attire and you do your preparations in advance. Limit distraction and you create a set. So the best place to take an interview in your home is an area where it's with few distraction. You choose a room where the background is clean and the interviewer is focused on you and there is nothing to distract the interviewer. So, and you try to place your computer on a table or at a level where the interviewer can see you from your face to where your table is. To tell people that you are sharing space with about the area you're interviewing. the time of the interview, and you need a quiet space, and that space is off limits. So your family must know when you're being interviewed so that nobody disturbs you during that interview. Respectfully explain that during this time, it is best that the house stays quiet so that when the interview starts, that is your time to shine. And there is nothing that will come between you and your interview. Your body language, because interviewing via video or phone limits your ability to communicate with your body language, it is important to utilize a body language that is a professional one, so that I want to throw you back to the power posture picture that I showed you a short while ago. Practice that, sit up straight, ensure that the camera is at a level where the interviewer can see you well, and your body cues, your body language, it helps you establish a feeling of confidence, and it also exudes that level of confidence. So questions you might ask an interviewer at the end of the interview: when may I expect to hear from you? Will I have to undergo further training? What are my working hours? Will a person in this position be required to work overtime? Does the company facilitate persons who want to further their education? On this slide, I want to invite you to research more questions at the end of interview. Remember, there is no excuse why you cannot get your responses right, because we are in a time of age of information technology where we do not have to wait for an interview. Offer the excuse that we have never been interviewed for a job before. There are many videos on YouTube where you can practice from the videos. Social media advice. This is a big challenge for a lot of persons, and it escapes them that social media can actually cause a downfall in persons looking for jobs. So have a professional profile with accurate and up-to-date information. My colleague mentioned a short while ago your email address. Be very mindful of having a professional email address, and just simply be your name at gmail or hotmail.com. And as well as your voice messages, so that when a recruiter calls you, there is no recording that keeps saying hello, 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 when there is nobody at the end of that call. Post constructive information about yourself in the social media. Keep it clean. Don't post vulgar pictures, videos, or insensitive information. Don't post all day, especially during hours when you're supposed to be on school, especially in school, as we are doing this with school students now. Employers check your profiles. They always check. That's the best background check. As the first go-to background check, in fact, that employers go to. And then after that, they go out into your community to get further details. And be careful with the information you give out online. And be aware of human trafficking, employment scams. Do not respond to job advertisements where especially in the classified, where the employer's name and address is not printed in the ad. There is only a phone number. In these times where people are very vulnerable and very frustrated that the employment situation is really terrible right now, that you, in your frustration, you do not respond to vacancies like that. This brings us to the end of our segment, and I will be pleased to get questions from my colleagues and myself, so that one, we know that you were paying attention, and two, that this segment is a very important one and it shows your enthusiasm.
Thank you very much, representatives from the Ministry of Labor, for your presentation. One question: in terms of the questions that students can possibly ask anyone who may be questioning them in an interview, what do you think about asking concerning the salary that is to be offered if the person is successful with the job?
Questions on salary. It depends on the tone of the interview. But most importantly, you're applying for a job and everybody wants to know what is the salary, because you don't want to take on a job where you want to be guessing. It helps you in a decision. The questions on your salary at the end of the interview, what we advise is that you can say something like this: the industry standard for position in this field normally pays around, and you give a range, right? Seeing that it is a medium or small size, small company, or a large company, depending on where the interview is happening. If it is a medium-sized company, your research will be able to help you dictate that. So at the interview, you want to confirm that, seeing as a small-sized company, what is the salary range for persons employed in this field? And the employer will not give you a specific salary quotation, but the employer will understand the need for that information to guide your decision making, because the employer does not want to interview persons and waste his or her time. So the employer will, or the interviewer will normally give a salary range. So we go with the suggestion that in your question, you relate to the industry standard. So there are set salary for particular field according to the industry. If it is administrative, there are certain salaries based on the size of the organization by which you are vying for position.
Thank you very much. I'm not sure if my colleagues will have any questions that they would like to pose to you at this time.
Yes, good afternoon. I want to ask a question. I know you all focus in terms of like when we have to do the face-to-face interview in terms of the female dress. Could you do a little bit for the male, like in terms like the way how they wear their hair, the pants they wear, the earring in the ears? Could you tell them what is appropriate and what is inappropriate for showing up for an interview?
Excellent question. So we apologize for not focusing on the male, mainly because there are lots of things that can go wrong with the female attire, but the male, it is what we expect male to have, the same head to toe checklist, where your hairstyle must be well groomed. Well groomed meaning that you have short haircuts. You go to the barber the day before or the weekend before, depending on the day. But the point is, you do not want to have no art designs in your hairstyle. You do not want to have any eyebrow rings or any nose rings or ear piercing. You got to remove all those things. The tattoos must not be any visible tattoos. For men, male, at most times, based on observation, I will put it that way, based on observation, male have a lot of tattoos just under their earlobe, on your neck. So you can only do so much that you can hide that. The female has that she can wear a scarf, but male, depending on if it is not a job in the fashion industry, you don't normally see a male wearing a scarf if it is not a job in the fashion industry that wear a tattoo. The colors, the professional colors may be blue, black, or gray for your suit, and you wear a tie, a white shirt, or a professional color shirt. Most times we say wear a white shirt because you're least likely to get it wrong, and it goes with both the blue, the gray, and the black. Even though you may be doing a virtual interview, you must wear your clothing just as you're wearing a face-to-face, so that it must be a comfortable suit. It must not be a suit where you pull something out of the cupboard and you've been in the gym and your biceps is bursting and you're so uncomfortable at the interview where you're feeling so stressed. And chains if you're wearing a chain, I know the young men like their chains. Sometimes I observe they wear big ostentatious jewelry on their neck. There is a time and place for it, but in the interview, I suggest that you take it off. If it is a really big chain that you have, we don't do that. Sometimes we see people coming into for interview, even though we have an informal setting, and they wear chains like that. Then in person, your jacket must be tailored to where you have it not short to your waistline, because we see a couple of things like that, but your normal standard jacket. You cannot get that wrong when you're going to the men's shop and you get that sort of size fit. The shoes, the
Pants shouldn't be out.
oh, my colleague is just reminding me that the pants should not be dropping below the hip. Now, we don't want to take things for granted here, because quite often we see persons coming in where you're wearing a nice soft pants, but if you want to maintain that sort of casual setting where the pants dropping a little lower, that's a no. It's a suit and it has to be worn properly like a suit. Interview suits, once you're putting out application for an interview, you make sure and you have that suit in your cupboard. You do not wear it for anything else, because if you get it soiled or dirty, then and you get a call for an interview the day after, you cannot possibly get something for the interview. So just leave that interview and you don't need more than one suit, just one suit for an interview and you'll be ready. Your shoes must be your professional shoes. Some persons wear their pointy tip shoe. It depends on the type of job you're applying for, but at most times that is a bit of gray area, because there are really some fashionable ones that you can go with just a black or leather brown color or gray, depending on the color of your suit. You must wear socks. A lot of persons wear suits and under their trousers, they think it is too long to the ankle, that they don't realize that when they stand, you're not seeing the sock, but when you sit, the pants come up and you discover this person is not wearing their socks. Please do wear socks, and also wear colors that is suitable to your professional image. So it's a professional image you are doing a head to toe. In person again, wristwatch and bracelets, etc. Simple watch is fine for the day. It is just for us, the interview is just for a short time. You may like to wear other things, but we're trying to keep it simple and professional. In person again, you make sure that your hygiene in terms of your eyes, clean your eyes, make no food on your teeth when you're talking, no chewing gum. If you are trying to de-stress before the interview with a chewing gum, make sure and remove it. Make sure and rinse your mouth so that you won't have your food, whatever you ate, that smell coming across. And your cologne, it must be just a subtle smell, not an overpowering smell. I've heard interviewers talk about colognes where it is just distracting when it's powerful. And that applies to both female and male. So as I've been alluding to throughout the presentation, you have no excuse to get it wrong. All of these things, you can take your time when you're doing your research on the internet. There are images that you bring up where you can see what checklist that you should have for yourself. A briefcase for your portfolio, what I will call an attaché, not a manila folder, not an envelope, but something that will complement your professional attire. So I hope that answers the question.
Thank you very much. Yes, it was.
So thank you very much, Ministry of Labor. We have come to the end of their presentation, and it has been such an engaging and informative session. We want to thank very much Mrs. Jagannath and Mrs. Charles from the Ministry of Labor for the information that they have provided concerning cover letters, resumes, and interview tips. That students, we are hoping that you have taken in everything that they have said, and as you prepare to leave secondary school and go into the world of work, that the information they have provided will be of great use to you. So once again, we want to thank very much Ministry of Labor for being a part of our virtual career fair today. Thank you very much, ladies.
You're welcome. Thank you for the invitation.
You're welcome.
Bye-bye.
At this time, we move on to our third service provider for today, and that is the University of the Southern Caribbean. We have Mr. Lyndon Simmons from the University of the Southern Caribbean, who is here with us today to present a little bit of the programs that are available to students at the University of the Southern Caribbean. Welcome, Mr. Simmons.
Hello, good afternoon, and welcome, everyone. Thank you for having me this evening to present to you, the information as it pertains to the University of the Southern Caribbean. All right. So we will go directly into the presentation as we have a limited amount of time, so that you have sufficient time to ask questions if you so desire. So you're in Form 5 right now. So you're basically preparing for your CSEC exams, and so by now, we would hope that you should know what you want to get into in terms of moving forward into your career. So I would think that because of the pandemic, you would have seen certain things. You would have probably perhaps had some time, extra time, to think about the things that you would want to do in terms of career. Now, before I begin talking about USC, one of the things that I always like to underscore to all the students who are looking to get into post-secondary school education, or perhaps you're looking to consider a career, one of the first major things that you need to understand is that whatever career that you're getting into, it should be something that you're passionate about. Passion is important, simply because, if you're looking at it from the scope of, working to get money, and that's all they focus on, getting a lot of money to buy all the nice things that you want, then perhaps if you're not happy in that particular job, it simply might mean that all the money that you're working for, you may have to take it to spend into doctor bills. Because now, while people may think that, we have all of these diseases that kill you, the number one killer is stress. So if you're stressed out, you will die in a matter of mere seconds, minutes, as the case may be. All right. So you must be passionate about what you want to get into. So if you are in Form 5 at this point in time, and I think my audience right now is Form 4s and 5, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Form 4s,
yes,
you have just right.
Yes,
Form 4s, you have just a little time in terms of getting prepared. Form 5, you are basically out of time. You are writing your exams in about 2 months, because your exams start in May. All right. So that means that at this point in time, you're supposed to have an idea as to what direction you want to get into. Now, if you're not too quite sure just yet, it's okay. All hope is not lost. And this is where your teachers come and play. This is where your not your principals, well, yeah, by extension, your principal, but more your teachers and perhaps your guidance officer, who are there to guide you in terms of getting into the particular career or area you want to get into. All right. Now, so that's passion. You have to be passionate about what you want to get into. So as you prepare for your exams, the University of the Southern Caribbean, we are one of the 3 universities in Trinidad and Tobago that offer a number of degree programs or cater to specific careers that you might perhaps want to get into. All right. Now, I understand that not everybody wants to get into academics post-secondary school. So some of you all may opt to go into doing probably a trade or something like that. And that's all good. All right. Once you're passionate about what you want to do and you have a focus as to where you want to see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years. All right. So the University of Southern Caribbean, we basically offer a number of degree programs. But before I tell you what the programs are, I'll let you know that we are located, our main campus is located in Maracas, St. Joseph. All right. And so we basically have 3 campuses across Trinidad and Tobago. All right. So probably perhaps you're listening in from Tobago, you might be listening from the Southland, or you're listening from somewhere in the north. We cater to all of you. So in the north, our main campus is in Maracas, St. Joseph. That's not over by the beach. That's more as you get into Kirep, it's just a few kilometers into the Maracas Valley. All right. That's where our main campus is housed. And then, of course, we have the South Center that is located in San Fernando on Leotard Street. That's the same street with the birth paper where you go and get your birth paper and your death certificate, etc. And things like that. It's at the bottom of that street. So that's the South Center. In Tobago, it is in Rockyville. All right. It's not too far away from Scarborough. So those are the options that we have. Moving up the islands, probably perhaps you might be studying in Trinidad and Tobago at this point in time. And then you probably perhaps may look on going to migrate within the Caribbean. We also have some campuses in the Caribbean. And very, very quickly, we have one in Guyana, we have one in Barbados, we have one in Antigua, and one in St. Lucia. Those are the 4 regional USCs that we have currently that caters to students. All right. Now, the University of Southern Caribbean, we are accredited, and that word is very important. Accreditation is very important. So, put in a nutshell, you want to know that after you do a particular degree or you study a particular course, that when you go for employment, your employers can look at your document and say, okay, yes, this document is from a legitimate school and it's a legitimate piece of paper, and that paper will come in the form of a certificate or an associate degree or a degree, as the case may be. All right. I wouldn't go on to master's and PhD as the case may be, because it's not your level just yet. So you will have up until the undergrad, which is the degree program. All right. So once you get that piece of paper after your study, it should be able to be, it should stand scrutiny in that you should be able to present it to an employer and you should be able to get gainful employment. All right. So we are accredited by the Accreditation Council of Trinidad and Tobago, ACTT. And that is very important when you're looking to get into post-secondary school education. You want to know that the school that you're going to is ACTT accredited. All right. Right. And then, of course, the University of Southern Caribbean, in addition to being accredited with the Accreditation Council of Trinidad and Tobago, we are also accredited with AAA in the US. So our degrees are internationally recognized. It's not only within the Caribbean. So you can basically study at the University of the Southern Caribbean, and then you can migrate anywhere in the world where once ACTT is recognized there, and you will be able to gain employment. All right. So the basically the University of the Southern Caribbean, we have a number of offerings ranging from, well, that falls within 5 schools that all our degrees fall on into. So the first one, we have the School of Theology and Religion. We call it STAR, School of Theology and Religion. That school is basically for persons who want to do a degree in theology or religion. All right. Now, yes, you probably perhaps saying to yourself, but wait, in order to become a pastor, you have to go to school to do that? Yes, definitely. You must be certified in your course of study. So we offer a degree in theology and religion for persons who want to become pastors, you want to become a chaplain, etc. You can do a degree in the School of Theology and Religion. And then, of course, we have the School of Business, right? The School of Business. Within that school, we have a degree in accounting, a Bachelor of Science in Accounting, a Bachelor of Economics, a Bachelor of Business Administration. In Finance, we have a Bachelor of Administration in Hospitality and Tourism Management, and we also have a Bachelor of Business Administration in in management. So that if you're looking into getting to becoming a manager in a bank or manager in a particular company, a HR manager or manager on the whole, you can do a degree in the School of Business. All right. Next, we have the School of Education and Humanities, right? So those are the more arts areas. So you want to become a teacher. Now, not many people, and I'm sure if I ask the question now, not many of you, a lot of you are shy away from becoming a teacher, because I think in my mind that maybe perhaps you don't want to, be teaching yourself in the next 10, 15 years. Consider that for a moment. You becoming a teacher and teaching somebody like yourself and your peers and your friends, etc., within the next 10 years. And you're probably saying to yourself, nah, Dread, nah, dog, boy, I can't handle that scene, because we know how much trouble we just give our teachers, right? So a lot of people shy away, but teaching is a very noble job, all right? I can attest to that. Even within my studying at, when I was at secondary school level, my teachers are the ones who were very instrumental in guiding me. So young people, let me make a plug here for your teachers. Sometimes you might think to yourself, boy, dog, boy, miss stressing me out, boy, want to she, boy, miss trying to dictate my pace, or she don't live she life, or he don't live his life, as it is may be. But it's not that your teacher is trying to dictate your pace. Your teachers are there to guide you. And I want you to understand that they're not there to be against you. And of course, yes, sometimes you butt heads as the case may be, but it should not be a case where both you and your teachers cannot see eye to eye, because you need your teachers in order to provide that foundation for you before you get into the world, the real world. So right now, basically, you are, I would say you're covered or you're sheltered by your family members, perhaps your parents, your father, your mother, with the exception of some of you, we know that you all have it hard and you have to go to school. I didn't have a hard life, but I chose to go to school and work, to make a little dollar and think to have money in my pocket. But I know for many of you, most of you that are here today, you're basically being taken care of by your parents. And so you are a bit sheltered. But when you get into the real world, where you have to now go out and you have to go and work, well, of course, you get your education, post-secondary school education, etc. You go to university, you go and do your certification, you get your qualification, you get a nice big job, and you get into the real world of work. It means, therefore, that you're going to start to pay bills, real bills, not only phone bills, where you have to buy a $100 phone card or what have you, real clothes, because now you need work clothes, you need this clothes, you need that clothes, right? That's an expense. You had to provide for your own self in terms of food, right? So no longer, well, some of you will still be by your parents and saying, Ma, where you cook today? Or Dad, I can get something to eat, please. Some of you all still spoil like that, we understand that kind of thing. But basically, you will have to really, your shoulders will have to be broadened, and you have to ensure that you're prepared for that world of work, because no longer will you be depending solely on your parents. You have to also think about transportation. Right now, many of you, if you don't have to catch the school bus or what have you, you will have to ask your parents for money for transportation, for passage, as the saying goes. But when you get into the world of work, you have to provide those things for yourself. And I'm saying to you right now, as a working individual, as a working young man, I mean, the days of secondary school were really, really, really good. Now I have to fend for myself, and then on top of that, when you begin to have your families, all of these things you must consider, it is going to be a different ballgame. So basically, you have to make sure that you're prepared, all right? And having an education helps you to be prepared in terms of securing a proper job, as the case may be, all right? Once it's your desire to do that, all right? So we have, in terms of the School of Education, we have people coming there who wants to become lawyers. We don't have the natural avenue for law, but we have the avenue of of history or English, which is the foundation, and then you branch off and specialize into your to law. So we have that option. We have, if you want to become a librarian, those are the courses that you can select within the School of Education and Humanities. And then, of course, we have the School of Social Sciences. The School of Social Sciences, there is where the guidance officers comes in, guidance counselors, the criminology and criminal justice persons, persons, well, anything in the protective service. And let me make a plug here. I know a lot of young men in my discussion with secondary school leavers. A lot of young men and women too, but mainly young men, they look towards becoming a police officer, a coast guard, somebody in the army, a fireman, that kind of thing, right? And while it might be true that you can get entry into any one of these jobs with 5 CSEC passes, the reality is, if you look to go into the police service with 5 CSEC passes, you go at the bottom of the ladder. Now, what you want to do is to get a competitive edge. Now, you don't have to, but I'm telling you, it might be in your best, it will be in your best interest. Now, if you want to work for a little more money and get up the ranks faster, it might be better for you to get in there with a degree, and a degree in behavioral sciences from the University of Southern Caribbean, social work, psychology. A degree in any field will put you in a better position in order to get a higher ranking in terms of the police force or the protective services. All right, so that's something that you should understand from now. But of course, the basic entry requirements, you can get in with that, but of course you'll be at the bottom where everybody boarding up at you, cussing you up and that kind of thing, those technical jargons that they use there, that's what happens there. All right, so we have the School of Sociology, Social Sciences rather, where we have all of those degrees that cater there. Now, in terms of entry requirements, in order for you to get entry into the University of the Southern Caribbean, all you need is 5 CSEC passes. How many did I say? Just 5. The same amount that you need in order to go and work in KFC and get bun with hot oil and get cussed up from people. 5 CSEC passes. All right. And so I'm saying, let me say this, nothing is wrong with working in KFC, right? I respect everybody once you're making an honest dollar, right? But I'm saying to you, with 5 CSEC passes, you have to work in KFC. You can take those 5 CSEC passes and you can also earn yourself a degree, or perhaps you can work and study, as the case may be, depending on your situation, and put yourself in a position where you can take advantage of the opportunities that you have. All right. So basically 5 CSEC passes, depending on the subject that you want to do. Oh, my apologies, I forgot one school. The School of Science, Technology, and Allied Health. My apologies. How could I forget that school? That school houses the nurses, the doctors, the medical doctors, the computer technicians, anything in computer IT, the occupational therapists. Well, that's at a higher level. That area, the people who want to get into foods, science, technology, and allied health is where those degrees or those careers are housed. My humble apologies for omitting that one. All right. And in order for you to get entry into these various areas, I will start with the School of Science and Technology. Science and Technology, you need to have 5 CSEC passes, but specific passes. Of course, math and English is mandatory in most cases. So for Science and Technology, you want to become a doctor, you must have math, English, chemistry, physics, and biology. All right, so that's the 5 that you must have, and you can have additional subjects. All right, so in order for you to become a doctor, you want to become a zoologist, you want to become a vet, anything in that area, you need 5 CSEC passes: math, English, biology, chemistry, and physics. Now we accept grades 1, 2, and 3 as of 1998. Come forward. All right, so as you begin to write your exams, you can begin to put purpose in your mind that, okay, I want to do medicine, I want to do this, I want to do that, and you begin to get yourself, prepare yourself in order to get into those areas. Now, all the other degrees within the School of Science, Technology, and Allied Health, you just require to have math and English and any other 3 CXC passes. All right? In the School of Theology and Religion, all you need to have is 5 CXC passes, English, and any other 4 CXC passes. All right? Once you have English A, grades 1, 2, and 3, you can get entry. In terms of business, the business area, math and English as well, and 3 other CXC passes, you're good to go. As it relates to persons who want to get into teaching, if there any person who's here who's desirous of becoming a teacher like your teacher or like your wonderful teachers, you're required to have 5 CXC passes, math, English, or science, and any other 2 CXC passes. Now, The Ministry of Education requires you to have a science, and a science can be any science, integrated science, agri-science, natural science, any one of those sciences. And I think now the Ministry of Education recognizes food and nutrition as a science. All right, you can go up onto their website and all the information will be right there. So basically, in order for you to become a teacher, you have to apply for your teacher's registration number. So I would advise you that once you are desirous of becoming a teacher, you go and you apply for your teacher's registration number. So you have that there, and then you go on to do your degree in whatever particular area and you specialize as the case may be. All right. Now, if you want to become a librarian or any one of in those fields in the arts, all you require to have is English and any other 460 passes. Similarly, for the School of Social Sciences, the School of Social Sciences, English and any other 460 passes, and you're good to go. Now, let me just say to you, while I am saying that you do not require, you're not hearing me rather, saying math, please note that if you want to have a full certificate and you want to graduate from secondary school, the full certificate, you must have math, English, and the other passes. Usually, you must have a minimum of 5 passes in order to be qualified as a full certificate, if I'm not mistaken, 5 or 6, right? And so math is very important, and that's one of the reasons why you have mandatory across the board, all students doing math and English, is because it's necessary for you. All right. So while some degrees may not require you to have math, please note that you're required to have math in a general sense, because sometimes what happens is that your employers ask to see your certificate, your CSEC certificate, even though you have a degree program, or even though you have a certificate in a degree certificate. All right. And that's simply because sometimes you may go on to an interview, right? And being interviewed, all these people have degree programs. All these people have, degree certificates, right? Now they must be able to differentiate the sheep from the goat. Sometimes what they do, they use your CSEC exams or your CSEC certificate to see. So if a person has 8 passes with with straight A's in their profile, chances are they probably perhaps will lean towards that individual. All right. So if you have a degree and everybody has the same degree and the GPAs are really good, that's a grade point average. I'm not going to talk too much about that. It means that they will find some way to differentiate who they're going to select. All right. And sometimes they also look at your CSEC passes. So they ask you to bring it in. They want to see how you did. So you will try to do it as you go into your exam, try to do your best. All right. And that's all we ask as society. Just do your best, right? Put your best foot forward. Anything is possible once you put your best foot forward, all right? So those are the entry requirements. In terms of the intakes at USC, the University of Southern Caribbean, we basically have 3 intakes, 2 intakes. We have the September intake and we have the January intake, right? Now for the September intake, even though you are now getting into going to write exams, the September intake has already been opened. So we are accepting applications for our September 2021 intake. That has begun as of this month, right? And we will close our that application somewhere in July, right? We try to give you enough time to be able to apply, right? So thankfully, owing to COVID, our application would have gone online. All right. So all you need to do in order to apply to the University of the Southern Caribbean, you need to Google search USC. That's U as in umbrella, S as in snake, C as in cat. Just Google search USC, the University of the Southern Caribbean, and our website will come up. Once you go on our website page, you will see the icon to apply. Once you click on that, it will take you to the page to apply. All right. So that's for our September intake. Now, I would want to advise you that please ensure that you do not wait until last minute. That's a problem that a lot of students have. So what some students do is that they wait until they get their results. And then they're like fish out of water. Oh gosh, I passed all my exams. Like, yes, I passed all my exams. But by the time you get your results, a lot of people would have applied before you. So that means that you're way down in the queue. And depending on the program of study, it means that you may not get through. All right. So what we advise students to do is that you should apply from all now. Even though you are doing CXE, you can apply now, and in the slot where you have to provide your passes, all you need to do is put 2021 pending results. What that will do, it will save you a space, and providing that you get your allotted passes for whatever particular program that you wanted to get done at the University of Southern Caribbean, we will secure a space for you. And once you get your results, we will then ask you to bring that in to us. We will process your application, and then you will start in September. All right, so you can start applying from all now once you know the program that you're interested in doing. All right, as it relates to our January intake, sometimes what happens is that the persons who are late, meaning that they had not made up their mind before what program they wanted to do, or they had no consideration of going to do a degree before, and after they got their results and they realized that they got their full certificates and they did well, they say, okay, now I can say I'm going to study. And so if they would have missed the September intake, they then catch the January intake, right? So the January intake starts somewhere, the application starts somewhere in October, all right? And it usually ends in December, all right? So you'll want to make sure that you get your application in as early as possible, submit your required documents, and you should be good to go, all right? So as I said before, the process is online, and so you're doing everything online. You submit it to us. If we have any questions for you or you're lacking any documents, our telephone operators will call you and we will have a discussion with you and have you registered for your allotted time. Now, very quickly, as I end, before I entertain some questions perhaps, because I'm looking at my time, you should know that at the University of the Southern Caribbean, many of our programs are GATE approved. Not all of our programs are GATE approved. All right, some of the programs that are not GATE approved is we have a music program. We have a very vibrant music program which is not GATE approved. Our sociology program is not GATE approved. Well, I don't think that's being offered this semester as well. Well, in September 2021. All right. The Associate of Science in Pre-Medical Studies. We have an Associate of Science in Pre-Medical Studies. That program is not GATE approved. But for that program, you must be doing exceptionally well. That's a 2-year program, but that program is for persons who understand, who have very good understanding of the science areas. They perform really, really well, and so they're able to do that. But that program is not GATE approved. So you would want to stay away from those types of programs if you know that you will be depending on GATE. Now, for those of you who perhaps do not know what GATE is where if you're a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, you can have access to free tertiary education, right? And so the government of Trinidad and Tobago, based on your socio-economic status, they will be able to fund you 100% based on your household income, your general household income. They would, so it's either 100%, 75%, or 50%, depending, right? And they have some criteria that they use in order to assess whether students fall in whatever category. All right. So let me say to you, young people, that you are very fortunate at this point in time. There's some people, including some of your teachers, well, more of the older teachers, who might not have had the access that you're having now. They basically had to go to work and study at the same time, and that cost thousands of dollars. But as of 2006, we were afforded the opportunity, Trinidadians were afforded the opportunity to have free tertiary education. I myself benefited from that, and so I would have taken advantage, would have done up to my master's. So I'm saying to you, as far as humanly possible, if you know that you're looking to get into post-secondary school education and you're looking to get into degree, etc., please seize that opportunity now. Do not wait. All right. So you have a few more months, 2 months to be exact. I would want to implore you to ensure that you put your best foot forward, do as best as you can so that you can get your passes and you can move forward into accessing GATE. All right. One of my former supervisors used to say to us, the opportunity of a lifetime must be taken in the lifetime of the opportunity. Let that sink in a bit. The opportunity of a lifetime must be taken in the lifetime of the opportunities. Simply put, when an opportunity is before you, you have to grab that. You grab that opportunity. Don't wait until the gate is closed and they say, well, we have no more money. We can no longer fund tertiary education. You know, you lose out. All right, everybody? So you take advantage of that opportunity at that point and do what you need to do. All right, so some of our programs are GATE approved, some are not GATE approved. So when you go up on our website, usc.edu.tt, or just Google search USC, you will see the information there, all the degrees that we offer. And if you have any questions that you would want to ask that you're not clear on, you can simply email us at info@usc.edu.tt. That's info@usc.edu.tt. All right. So anything that I perhaps might have missed today for you, and you think it's something that you want to ask, you can email us. Of course, we did a presentation yesterday. The University of Southern Caribbean did a presentation with some Form 3s yesterday. And I tell you, this morning, we had a number of questions being asked by those Form 3 students, you know, in terms of what subjects they should do in order to get in certain careers, etc., because they are now selecting their courses, right? But I know for you, you will have already selected your courses so that you're now looking at the process of applying to the University of the Southern Caribbean, as the case may be. All right. Now, my final submission to you is there are a number of institutions in Trinidad and Tobago. USC is not the only one. Of course, we are one of the providers that help you, that take you from where you want to be, where you are, sorry, to where you want to be. And so basically, we're here to guide the process to get you qualified so that you get that dream job that you want to get into. All right, so at this time, I'm not too quite sure if you perhaps may have questions that that you would want me to entertain at this point in time. So I'll leave the next few minutes. We have just a few minutes and I will entertain that at this point. So anybody who would be the first?
Thank you very much, Mr. Simmons, for your presentation. One of those questions, I know you indicated some of the programs were GATE approved and some were not GATE approved. For those who may be interested in doing a program that is not GATE approved, what kind of financial assistance or financial support or guidance can you give to such students?
All right, so that's an excellent question. Thank you so very much for that question. Now, the government of Trinidad and Tobago has done a lot in terms of ensuring that for persons who are not too quite who perhaps may not meet the requirements in order to be GATE funded. Now, there's something called a help loan that a lot of students are not, they're not really, they don't tap into. And that could go across the board. Tuition, it could go for also, it can help you in tuition, it can help you in terms of if you want to get books, you want to get traveling as well. Right now, everything is online. And I omitted to say that. At this point in time, because of the pandemic, every single thing is online. With the exception of persons who have to do their labs, that's face-to-face, basically. So some of the programs are blended in that once a week, or as the facilitator may decide with the students, you may have to come into the labs to do a testing, a dissecting of your frogs or what have you, whatever you're doing, or that kind of thing. All right, so that's also so we have that arrangement where it's blended, right? But for the persons who are the programs that are not GATE funded, so the government have a number of programs that you can get into. One I know for sure is the help loan. Outside of that, the University of the Southern Caribbean, we do not have a very large scholarship program, but we do have programs in place where students can access assistance in order to help with doing their degree. In addition to that, we also have a work-study program. But in order to qualify for that work-study program, that simply means that a work-study program means that you're working while you're going to school. So you can get a job on campus, but you must be a full-time student in order to be working on campus. and your GPA, that's your grade point average, it must be above 3.0. All right, so you cannot be failing courses now, and I'm saying to you, it's very difficult to be failing courses at USC because we have very courteous, kind lecturers who assist you as best as possible. All right, so if you're failing, it means that you're really, really, really not focused on something is happening with you, and they will have discussions with you and try to assist, right? But the work study program is specifically for persons who are struggling, who cannot financially support themselves. So that's an avenue that you have. So those are the basic programs that we have at the University of the Southern Caribbean that will help students to earn some sort of financial aid in order to do the programs that are not gate approved. Yeah. Any other questions?
Well, as you know that we have the pandemic that we're still battling, and several students would have had their parents lose their jobs or have had their salaries cut, and students may be battling making a decision for tertiary education or deciding if to go to work. I would like you to speak to those students who may be having that challenge and that decision to make right now, because this particular Zoom room is catered to the Form 4s and 5s. Can you speak to them a little bit and just share with them some insight or perspective they could probably keep in mind as they make their decision on if they should go to further education or if they should go out to the world of work?
Right. Thank you again for your question. Now, it is very important. Now, these challenges are real challenges, and having an education is not very cheap, right? But having an education is an asset, because in order to change one's socioeconomic status, a huge percentage of the time, it all depends on the level of education. So your education is very important, right? And I want to underscore that. Now, but the challenge of a parent losing a job, or you can't see the funding at the point in time in order for you to really continue post-secondary school students is something that's really real. But my advice to you would be, you would have to make that decision on your own to really sacrifice to make sure that you change your situation. Now, I give you my example. My both parents never had a secondary school education. So all of you sitting before me here that are going to a secondary school, you're in a better position than my parents would, because they never had that opportunity, right? Now, for me, I grew up in an extended family. And of course, for me, being an extended family it was always competition, that kind of thing. So I wasn't really bright as the others, because, they passed for the convent, presentation college, and those nice 5-year. I went to junior sec. But I can tell you, I had the opportunity to go to a 5-year school where I could have been transferred, but I said to my mother at the time, I passed to my junior sec, I'm going to my junior sec, and I'm going to show everybody that I'm going to do exceptionally well. Now, back in the day, basically for me, I used to get relics because I used to talk plenty, right? I used to get relics. So my report cards always had Lyndon talks too much. So I wasn't disruptive and stuff. I just like to talk. So my father never used to like to see that. So anytime I get my report card, it's looks like, please. The strange thing is that I was determined, and I said to myself, I'm going to change that socioeconomic status. And so now I'm being paid to talk. So back then I was getting licks because I talked too much. And then years down the road, I'm getting paid to talk. So you have to utilize, the point I'm making is that you have to know what you want. And you have to make that sacrifice. So I could have simply said, well, my parents didn't have a secondary school education, but things were hard, boy. Boy, I can't make it in this life. No, I was very determined. And similarly, you can be very determined. And that choice you will have to make, whether you want to decide to stay where you are, or you want to make sure that you make that hard decision in order to go forward, right? And I'm saying to you, now, and this is not in the context of USC, right? It's in the context on your education on the whole, whether you want to go and get certified in underwater welding or whatever, right? If you want to do a degree, you want to go and do something in cooking, whatever it is. My submission to you is you have to make that hard decision. And that sacrifice at the end of the day will be worth it. For me, it was worth it, right? Yes, I had GATE. Of course, yes, that was a big plus for me, and I had to do my little things going to work at a point in time. Before I go to secondary school, I would go in the cane field to get a little change back in the day, right? A little $40 a bundle. I knew what I wanted. I like nice things. I like to dress. I like to be neat. I like to be looking dapper. So I made a decision when I was young. You know, secondary school, you playful and that kind of thing. But in my mind, I'm saying to myself, I know what the outcome is going to be because I have to change my socioeconomic status. And so said, so done. And you too today, even though within the struggles that you're having, you too can change your socioeconomic status, right? So basically, in a nutshell, I would say to you, go for it, right? Even if it means that you have to take some time out quickly, get a job, do it, or go to school and go. Now, going to school and working is very difficult, but it's not impossible. But you can do it. I believe you can do it. If I could have done it, you can do it, right? So you have that choice where you can work and study at the same time, or you can take some time, go get a job, or it can be a seasonal job where I know some of my students here at USC, they work basically from May to August, because that's where they have their break if they're not doing summer sessions. And they work and they save their money to go towards their tuition or their schooling, what have you. And during the semester, which is semester 1 and semester 2, which is September to December and January to April, they do their courses and they get by like that. I mean, it's difficult because sometimes you'll be tired, etc. But you must make that sacrifice because at the end of the day, you must have your goal in mind. What you want, if you know you like nice things, you go at that and you can do it. All right, so that's my submission to you guys.
Thank you very much, Mr. Simmons, and we definitely agree with you there. It will require some sacrifice and a lot of determination, but it definitely is possible even in these COVID times. So we want to thank you very much, the representative from the University of the Southern Caribbean, Mr. Simmons, for the information that he has presented to us and to you students concerning the options that you have available to study at the University of the Southern Caribbean. Thank you very much again, Mr. Simmons.
You're most welcome, and all the best to all you wonderful students, Form 4 and Form 5. If I never meet you ever again in life, sorry, let me wish you all the best. You are wonderful. You are brilliant. Once you put your best foot forward, everything is going to be all right. All right, so success to you all.
Mr. Simmons, just before you go, I just want to ask one question. So you told your students that now is a good time for them to, if they want to apply, right? So some of them may be saying, okay, I know what I want to do, but I'm not sure in terms of finance. Do you have flexible payment plans?
Yes, we do, certainly. So once students apply and they get accepted to the university, if they have any financial troubles, the business or the financial area, they would be able to have a payment plan for students who are struggling.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're most welcome.
Okay.
And at this time, we would like to move on to our last service provider for today, which will be the Tobago Hospitality and Tourism Institute. So we would like to welcome Ms. Safia Wilhas from the Tobago Hospitality and Tourism Institute, who will share with us some more of the Institute's programs and how you can access their programs. So let's welcome Ms. Wilhas to the platform. Thank you very much, Ms. Wilhas.
Thank you very much. Good afternoon to everybody. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, we can. You're a little soft. Perhaps, let me see, maybe if we can raise your volume a little.
Okay. I'm trying to move my mic a little. Is this better?
Yes, it's a little better. Thank you.
Okay, great. So thank you. Welcome from all of us at the Tobago Hospitality and Tourism Institute. We are delighted to be here today to talk to the students about opportunities in the Hospitality and Tourism Institute. So I mean, in the industry. As I said, my name is Safia Bolhan, and we will kick off this session with a short video, and then we will proceed to introduce the rest, the other members of the team. So just bear with me for 1 second and I get the video going.
Hey guys, I'm Hans Defentala from Kessiban. I just want to welcome all you guys to the hospitality and tourism industry. This is an exciting industry that will require your brilliant young minds to take it to the next level. Remember, always put your all and practice excellence in everything that you do. Take the time to learn from each other, but also from the people who have come before you in this industry. Great success is always born of many failures. So take lessons from all that came before you, both their successes and their failures, and use it to transform Trinidad and Tobago's tourism and hospitality industry into the world-class product that it can be. Welcome to the industry.
You learn a lot about culture and places when it is you're interested in food. When I came out of school, I was involved in Rotaract. And through Rotaract, I interacted with a lot of islanders, and I was always just enamored with how patriotic they were. And I felt as a Tobagonian, we really didn't have people advocating and showing that love when it is we got. Yes, we love Tobago, but Tobago always kind of got overshadowed by Trinidad. Whew, that's a tough one, most memorable. I guess it's a reinforcement of my purpose. Yeah, all of my positive or memorable moments were moments that really helped to crystallize and I guess reinforce that it's worth the stress. So if I had to really drill down to one, when we won the Destination Award, and people trivialize it, but it took a lot of work for us to get there. And I felt so validated. It was very surreal going through the process. I won't lie, because, you know, we went up against destinations like Australia and New Zealand. I remember when I was in university, Australia had an amazing campaign. As I said, you're sitting with world leaders in tourism. I would say we are constant learner. We've enjoyed success by doing certain things, and sometimes we like to stay with that strategy all the time. You know, people talk about, oh, Tobago was doing so well in 2005. We're not in 2005, right? So the things we did back then, they may not work now. So you really have to be in a constant, I guess, state of learning and trying new things. And I guess taking risks. So in a nutshell, yeah, just have a thirst for knowledge. And not just knowledge like book, you know, knowledge in terms of connecting with people, because I learn a lot by going and talk to the villagers in Castara, you know, being with people on the ground. So there are different facets or different means of learning. So yes, there are industry practices and best practices, but you know, you need to learn from the people who are on the ground, on the front line, what is happening, because you can get disconnected from the reality of what the destination is facing. So you kind of need to keep yourself grounded.
When I was younger, I always used to make macaroni and cheese, and I used to experiment with that as well, you know, put different ingredients inside of it to see how the flavor changes. There was a day my mom went to the grocery and she saw a chef in the grocery, and she walked up to him and she started a conversation with him. And she told him, you know, my son, he really loves food and he wants to be a chef. So he was like, okay, well, tell him to come down to the hotel tomorrow. This was Blue Haven Hotel. So, you know, she came home all excited and she was like, hey, you know, I met a chef. I told him that you want to be a chef. So instead of sitting down home doing nothing, he said to come to the hotel tomorrow for a job. So I was like, all right, cool. That sounds good, you know. I'll get to expand on my macaroni and cheese knowledge, you know. Well, get an idea of new ingredients to put in my mac and cheese. So I was like, yeah, all right, let me go. There are so much memorable moments that I could mention. I was the captain of the culinary team, and we won the collegiate decor competition. It's an international competition with different cooking schools all around the world, and we won 2 years in a row. To this day, we are the only team, right, coming out of Johnson and Wales in every Johnson and Wales campus that has ever done that 2 years in a row. So we still hold the record, we still hold the title for that. And our picture is actually in the school in a glass case in the campus. So it's so that aspect. Then this journey has afforded me the opportunity to cook for a lot of celebrities, you know. So I've cooked for, and this is from my personal chefing business, I've cooked for Ludacris, Fantasia, Neo, Anthony Hamilton, Taurus Riley, Congens, Marshall. I actually used to be the personal chef while I was living in Florida for a guy called Elvis Dumerville. He was actually, he used to play football, American football for the Baltimore Ravens. So you could go there. I've cooked for millionaires and billionaires. In terms of challenging moments, I had so many challenging moments on this journey that I am still on. Could go back once again to Johnson and Wales in terms of, you know, me going to school, the exchange rate coming from Trinidad and Tobago, you know, the exchange rate to the US dollar 6-1, and you know, my mom was already paying my tuition, so I told her not to send any money for me. So besides with my school work and in all these clubs, I was the vice president of the Caribbean Students Association. I was in charge of the ACF in school as the American Chef Association. I was in another group called Men of Distinction. So besides juggling all these extracurricular activities, plus for school, I had to work under the table to have money to live. So, you know, that was really challenging. There were days that I was down to like dollars, like literally dollars. I have $2-3 in my name, and you know, I had to find a way to survive. But I used to, you know, say my prayers and whatever, and something always used to come along. Somebody always used to come with a job, and I don't know, like it just always worked out.
Okay, great. So we're back on screen.
Yes, Sophia.
Okay, great. Thank you. So welcome to all the students who may have joined us during the streaming of that video. So we'll just do a brief introduction now of the various team members from the Tobago Hospitality and Tourism Institute who are here on this call today. So we'll start with our Dean of Students.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our presentation. We look forward to answering your questions at the end of the program, and we hope that you find it enjoyable and productive. So welcome.
Thank you. Next, we'll hear from our guest lecturer.
Hi, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Chanel Smith, and it's a pleasure to be here today. I am the Hospitality and Tourism Lecturer at the Tobago Hospitality and Tourism Institute. So let me get straight into it. I have a very short time to tell you a lot of information about this field of hospitality and tourism. So as I mentioned, I'm one of the lecturers at the campus. And although I'm originally from Trinidad, when I got the opportunity to lecture at the Tobago campus, I was extremely excited. I love Tobago, I love the culture, I love the vibrancy of the island. And most importantly, their tourism product is something that is so unique. And it's such an amazing experience to have students in a field as dynamic as tourism and living in an island, which presents so many opportunities for us to actually explore the industry in a very intricate and very meaningful way. So my journey with hospitality and tourism started when I was around the age of 16, many years ago. I always knew that this was the industry that I wanted to get into. So directly after secondary school, I would have gone to Trinidad and Tobago Hospitality and Tourism Institute to study hotel operations, hospitality management, following which I would have gone on to UWI to do my degree in hospitality and tourism, and then subsequently my master's in tourism development and management. So the educational path that I took is something that is actually available to all students who go through Tobago Hospitality and Tourism Institute. Yeah, we have an arrangement with different universities, whether it is at the University of the West Indies or other international or regional places, where it is you can actually go forward and complete your education within the field of hospitality and tourism through a different pathway program. So my whole interest in the field of hospitality and tourism is something that I'm extremely passionate about. It has led me to have a very successful career thus far, which has enabled me to travel, to see so many different parts of the world. But most importantly, it has taught me how to be a responsible traveler and person. And for a lot of people, even myself, when I just came into the industry, there's this big misconception that tourism and the field of tourism, it's only about hotels, it's only about restaurants, but there's so much more to the industry that's really exciting. It's about learning how communities work. It's about learning how you can use tourism as a tool to help promote economic development, how tourism or the role tourism plays in helping to preserve the environment. So it's really multifaceted. It's exciting. It's ever changing. I get to have a career where every day it's unique, it's different, it's fun. But at the same time, of course, there's a lot of research that goes into making this industry meaningful, which is why the academic side of it is so important. So at THD, I actually teach a lot of different courses, and I'll go through some of them with you. Ecotourism and sustainable tourism. These two courses have a lot to do with looking at the community, looking at environmental models, looking at the way that the tourism sector can respond in a meaningful way to contribute to people. The way I teach my courses is that I use a very problem-based service strategy, which means that I have my students on the ground. Yes, I will teach, I will have PowerPoints and slides, and we use those traditional methods, but I also like my students to get actively involved in communities. Yeah, so I would want you all to actually go into different spaces and to be able to actually learn from people who live there what their experiences have been regarding tourism and hospitality. And if they have any issues that ought to be addressed, we kind of come up with different project concepts, realistic concerns being addressed, so that when you do final reports for some of my subjects, these recommendations actually improve the tangible lives of people who you interact with. Yeah, so that's how our courses are going to be structured. Apart from hospitality and tourism, in terms of sustainability, I also teach resort management, which looks at hotel operations. And again, tying in that whole concept of how do we not just manage properties, but how do we actually manage properties and resorts in a way that does not cause harm. You know, what are the best practices going around the world? What's the future of the industry in this regard? I also teach tourism product development, which is one of my favorite courses. And in that class, we actually look at different sites and attractions throughout the Caribbean, existing things, and how it is we can actually improve it by being innovative, by being creative, by adding new dimensions and new twists to appeal to different types of tourists. So what can you expect at THDI? It's going to be a lot of work, as all tertiary institutions would demand. We have a very strict schedule in terms of having very high expectations for our students. We value the role that tourism plays as an industry as it relates to national development. So all of the lecturers, I can say, there's a great degree of quality the great degree of efforts and passion that you would find. And we expect nothing short of excellence from our students at THTI. So while we do have a lot of fun, we have a lot of engagement, there's also a lot of expectation that you are going to have to come prepared to do the work that is required. One of my most memorable moments so far as being a lecturer at THTI is the fact that I get to carry my students on field trips. And in particular, being tourism, of course, this isn't just limited to Trinidad and Tobago. In 2019, right before we actually went into lockdown, a group of my students, we would have gone to Barbados to participate in a tourism conference there. It was a very exciting experience. And of course, in addition, being in Barbados, lots of opportunities to actually visit different sites. So some of the case studies, some of the actual examples we would have been reading about during the semester, it was an amazing experience to have students actually get to see what it's like to visit Harrison Caves and go through an underground railway setting, or to do a catamaran cruise and swim with turtles, and all of these things really tie into what our product is at THTI. It's a very experiential, it's a very immersive academic experience. So different career opportunities, you aren't just limited to work in a hotel, which is another misconception we have in the industry. You can be an academic, you can write books on the subject, you can help in terms of policy design and development, looking at different forms of tourism. You can form your own consultancy and travel around the world in terms of offering guidance to different communities, regional bodies, in terms of structuring their tourism products in a way that helps people, that helps the environment. Yeah. All right. So that's my brief nutshell in terms of life as a tourism student at THTI. Thank you.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Ms. Smith. So I hope that short presentation will interest some of you students that are out there listening, that there are many, many opportunities in the hospitality and tourism industry. And we at THTI look forward to giving you the quality education to create those opportunities for you in the future. So just to continue briefly with introduction, so I will now ask Shari Lewis to introduce herself to the team.
Hello, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Shari Lewis, and I am a marketing officer at THTI. I also actually just finished my associate degree in tourism studies. So I started at THTI in August 2017, and I started straight out of high school. So yeah, so I hope everyone enjoys the rest of this presentation, and thank you.
All right, great. And well, lastly, myself, I am responsible for marketing and communications at THTI, which means I look after our digital media sites, such as our websites, our Facebook and Instagram pages, as well as all our marketing publications, such as our brochures, flyers, etc. So we'll now just show you another short video that will take you onto a tour of our THTI campus, as well as some of our programs. So just bear with me for just 1 second.
Welcome to the Tobago Hospitality and Tourism Institute. Greetings, it is our pleasure to welcome you to THTI. We feel privileged that you have chosen to entrust us to help you achieve your educational goal. Welcome from our deans, Mrs. Bernadine Thomas McCain and Mrs. Joanna Moses Vorke. At THTI, we incorporate the very essence of Tobago's physical and cultural heritage into your hospitality and tourism programs. From pristine marine and foreign environments to the traditional culture and food on the island, and education at THTI is truly experiential. Located on a 100-acre estate of pristine forest land overlooking the Atlantic Ocean, THTI's sprawling campus is nestled within farming and fishing communities of Mount St. George, Tobago. The story began in 1997 when THTI was established with a mandate to train professionals for the hospitality and tourism industries. THTI became the first indigenous Tobago institution to be registered with the ACTT in 2009, accredited in 2014, and re-accredited in 2020. We are now proud to be the only ACTT accredited hospitality and tourism institution in Trinidad and Tobago. Our dedicated faculty include individuals with distinguished local and international experience. THTI offers applied science associate degrees in hospitality, tourism, food and beverage, and culinary arts. At THTI, we believe that academic learning is greatly enhanced with experiential immersion. These experiences include local field trips and international competition, such as CTO Students Colloquium Competition in New York, where in 2019, THTI was represented by 4 student finalists. Student chef dinners are an opportunity for students to use creativity, emerging local and regional products to create finer dining experiences. After completing the coursework, students will undertake an internship at a real-world workplace. We provide opportunities for academic pathways to bachelor's degree through local and international partners. All students are members of our Student Council, which facilitates communication with staff and faculty to promote unity, educational, and social interests of our students. THTI campus is equipped with a large commercial kitchen, training kitchen, and restaurant for hosting fine dining experiences and wine tasting. We host several events and activities throughout the year, including wine tasting and our signature event, the annual THTI Taste of Tobago Golf Classic. We partner with the local hotels and restaurants to showcase Tobago's best golfing, culinary, and hospitality experiences. In this single event, our students are exposed to elements of event management, sports tourism, and culinary tourism. Our students demonstrate career opportunities in the industry for other youths. Our students work on sustainable tourism initiatives as well as promoting Tobago's tourism. We welcome and host faculty and students from other local and international colleges and universities. Discover more about the Tobago Hospitality and Tourism Institute, where quality comes first, on our website, Facebook, and Instagram pages.
Great. So now we will take some questions and answers from the students via the moderator.
Thank you very much for your presentation, Ms. Wilcox. One question that I would like to ask. What are some unconventional careers that students can get into after having studied at THTI?
Okay. Dean, would you like to take that question?
Okay.
Can you repeat the question? I didn't hear it too well.
I apologize for the background noise.
Yeah.
What are some careers, conventional and perhaps some unconventional ones as well, that students can get into after having studied at THTI?
Okay, so one thing that comes to mind is they could work as YouTube influencers. I'm saying this because I know I have younger students on board. So this might not be something that you would think about, but you can always use your tourism, hospitality degrees to get into that field. This is probably one of the different ones that I can think about.
And if I may add as well.
Is that
Thank you very much.
Sorry,
I
go ahead.
interrupt you? I'm sorry, I'm not trying to interrupt you. Sorry, I did. Sorry.
No, I was saying that a tourism degree or hospitality degree can take the students very far. So we can think about conventional ones like teaching, working at a hotel, but they're different off-color ones that I'd be happy to post the information so that the students can have a better idea of some of the things that they can do.
If I can also add to that, if you go to our website, which is thti.edu.tt, under each degree, we also have information on career opportunities. But I think Ms. Smith wanted to add something as well.
Yeah, so because we are in the time we're at in terms of this entire pandemic, it has actually encouraged a lot of innovation within the industry. So as you would probably all have seen by now, this whole emergence and thrust in terms of things like virtual events, virtual tours being offered in terms of hotels and different destination management companies. So that actually opens up an entire industry that is something that we've never really focused on before. So students now have the opportunity to even think about getting into that virtual realm of what the industry represents from a marketing standpoint. Another unconventional side of the industry actually has to do with robotics. So there are hotels in China right now that are pretty much more than 60% operated by actual robots. And it's a really interesting and cool concept for what the hospitality industry represents. So if you are technologically inclined, in addition to understanding what the hotel operations course would entail, that's another dimension that you can actually look at, developing artificial intelligence for the industry even. So that whole merger of technology, I think it has encouraged a lot of students to start thinking, even lecturers as well, about the industry as not just being existent in a tangible sense, but understanding that there's a whole range of sub-industries that interact with the virtual world that we have to be prepared to provide students with that competency and capacity to treat with.
Thank you very much. I was also wondering, in terms of students, perhaps from Trinidad, who would like to study at THTI, can you describe for me, as well as for the students, the processes they will probably have to go through? They may not know all the intricacies of the process that they might have to go through to study at THTI.
Okay, all our programs are posted on our website. Our application you can also apply directly from our website, and the requirements are listed. And I would just let the dean maybe just quickly go over some of those requirements for you to apply through our online channel. Go ahead.
Okay, so for direct entry into our we have 4 associate degree programs. So for direct entry into the 4 associate degree program, you need to have 5 CXC passes, including math and English. But for students who do not have the 5 CXC, we have a program called a PATH program. So this program provides a student with a bridge entry into the associate degree program. So you can either come in through the PART program without your full certificate. You spend one semester. After you pass that program, next semester, you can enter into the associate degree program. So those are the two pathways. Those are the two pathways into our program. Sophia told you you can apply online, so you can either apply directly online, or you can scan, fill out your forms, scan them, and email them to us at info@thti.edu.tt. The registrar looks at your information and provides you with a response. The one thing I want to say, two things I want to say specifically to students from Trinidad is that we do not have accommodation on campus. So, but we are willing to work with students from Trinidad to help you to find accommodation in Tobago. So we also have a shuttle service that will bring you from Scarborough to the campus and back. So that's something to keep in mind. And because of the pandemic, we've moved most of our classes online. So you may be able to do classes that are strictly online. So you will not have to think about coming to Tobago initially, but once you start doing practical courses, you will have to come to the campus. So those are just factors that you can consider in making a decision to come to Tobago to study.
Okay, thank you for sharing that, especially the blended learning aspect. So I know that will be advanced for the Trinidadian students. Maybe one of my colleagues may want to ask any questions. I will give them an opportunity to do so.
Okay, so I want to find out something from you. What's the age criteria? From what age to what age are students allowed at your center?
Okay, so from age 16. If you come in at 16, there are some classes that you will not be able to take until you are 18. Because especially in the culinary arts program, one course that comes to mind is wines and spirits. So if you're underage, based on our laws, you will not be able to take that class until you turn 18. But prior to that, you can do almost any other course. And so there's no age limit. The age limit will factor in if you are applying for GATE, because GATE has an upper age limit. But in terms of if you're paying on your own, there is no limit to your age.
Okay, thank you. What's the average length of your courses?
Okay, so our programs are 6-semester programs. So if you're doing full-time, your first year, it's 3 courses. So year 1, semester 1, year 2, year 1, semester 2. There's a 3rd semester, which is a shorter semester, that's a summer semester. And the following year, you have 2 more semesters, and your final semester is your internship semester. So it's a total of 6 semesters that you can complete in 2 years.
Okay, great. And what about payment plans? Do you have payment plans for students?
Yes, we do have a payment. I don't have the exact details, but the answer is yes, we do have payment plans.
Okay, great. And my final question, so after I have completed my degree, do you all assist students with job placements?
So we assist students initially with your internship. So after you finish your 5 semesters, we assist you with finding internships. And in terms of the students so we will assist you with doing your resumes. And if our stakeholders, we have certain stakeholders from time to time, they reach out to us to ask us for students for graduates, yes, we will do the necessary recommendation. So that's how we will assist the students in finding placements.
Okay, thank you very much. Don't have any more questions right now.
Okay, thanks.
I have something I'd like to ask. I know earlier Ms. Lewis indicated that she was studying at the school as well as studying working. I would like as perspective of a student, Ms. Lewis, to share to our students who are watching her experience at the school and probably her most memorable experience at the school as well.
Okay.
Hello, good afternoon. Well, my experience as THCI has been amazing. My experience at THCI started, as I explained in the beginning, in August 2017. So I came straight out of high school. And my passion in tourism really started from a love of geography. And from that, it transitioned into just researching different countries, different tourism products. So after I finished high school, I realized that this is something that I really want to go into. So I decided to attend THCI. So just at the internship, I've learned a lot of things due to the amount of the projects that I had to do. So let's say tourism product development, I had to develop a tourism product in Tobago. So I had to come up with ways to improve the Scarborough Botanical Gardens. So in that project, it really taught me about interviewing skills, research skills. So for that project, I really had to reference to a lot of benchmarking about different institutions. And when you go into a tourism degree, that's something that you really have to learn. And the importance of referencing, benchmarking, looking at different tourism products, looking at how different Caribbean islands are, marketing their tourism products. So yeah, my most memorable moment will definitely have to be just the projects itself, just learning a lot more knowledge about the tourism products that Tobago offers. And also another memorable moments happened during my internship. So I did my internship with THCI's marketing department. So one of my most memorable moments would definitely have to be taking part in the virtual career fairs, such as Elan, which was a French-based career fair that was based out of Martinique. So that's just the efficiency of that program and just seeing the way how they conducted themselves, the way how the program was laid out. So I would say those are some of the most memorable moments of my degree.
Thank you very much, Ms. Lewis, for sharing that from a student's perspective. Okay, so Ms. Bulhan, now that we're coming a little closer to our wrap-up time, I will give you an opportunity now to make one final submission to the students concerning THTI, and perhaps could leave a contact number with them that they can contact the school at as they make their decisions concerning what they will do post-secondary school. Ms. Bulhan?
Okay, all right. Well, yes, definitely we would love to hear from you. Our enrollment is ongoing. And we are recruiting students for the upcoming academic year, which is August, September 2021, and we will respond to you. I will post shortly our website and social media links. You can send us a direct message via Instagram or Facebook. We will respond to you. You can send us an email to info@thti.edu.tt, and we will also respond to you. So we definitely look forward to hearing from you, and you can keep in touch with us and see what we do through our social media. So I will just share that with you on the screen in a moment. Okay, I think this is all from our end, and we look forward to hearing from all of you.
Okay, so we would like to say thank you again to all the representatives from THTI. The information that was shared was valuable. It was both experiential, information in terms of the practicals, but testimonials, and we appreciated that a whole lot. So students, that has brought us to the end of our career fair today. We want to encourage you to log in tomorrow, please God, to our final day, where we will have 4 more service providers that will share with us their schools and the information that you need to enroll. So thank you again for logging in, students, and thank you again, THTI, for being with us. Have a good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you all very much and have a good afternoon.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thanks. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.